All right, hello. Welcome to Iconic Edge, our final call today. Today is going to be a mix of hot seat coaching, and I'm going to answer some questions that were asked in the Telegram. Over the course of the 2 weeks, what we've done so far is the first week is we really dove into the archetypes. And archetypes, diving into the body and seeing what comes up in the different archetype play is where the magic of what's next for your brand is going to happen. Because as I've said so many times in these entire 2 weeks together, I don't have the answers for you. You might think you have the answers, meaning, yeah, I want to bring out more edge, right? But what does that edge look like for you? And again, like I said so many times, if you're attracted to my brand, it probably is a stillness, a black, pearls, lace, leather, choker. Maybe there's something along that lines you might want to bring out. Maybe it's if you think about my style, like you have a blazer look. Was wearing a blazer this morning to the gym. I wore a blazer to the gym and a pearl lace choker to my client calls. That's the beautiful juxtaposition of an embodied brand, right? So it starts in archetypes, and that's where we uncovered what came up, the shadows, because the biggest thing blocking anybody from being themselves online, from sharing more of their expression, is the visibility shadow, is the shadow of thinking you're too much, is the shadow of people pleasing. And once we can, these are some of them, and once we work on what yours is, because that'll come up in those moments of archetype play when you notice when you start to judge yourself in which energy, but then also in the freedom of play, and that maybe you're in the playful, whatever that is, the creative idea is going to come through. So that was week one. And then week two, we dove more into the messaging, the content, the difference between brand identity content and offer positioning content, which we need both. Today, I'm going to dive into an example of what this could look like in one, because they don't have to be separate. Save time, put them together. You can do them separate. Sometimes when, tap into a little bit on the business and messaging and marketing side, when you're in a big launch, you might want to do just strictly, this is what the offer is. Here's exactly what we do. Like, you do want to do that. And then you have some identity driven posts where it speaks about the brand, your legacy, as well as positioning the offer as the thing that got you to that identity. So we'll dive into that as well. Now, today's call is hot seat. So hot seat call, and I'm going to answer a few questions that I have in the Telegram. So we'll go in with, let's start with the Telegram question, because I'll go through that one first and then we'll go on the call. So here, now this is just going to be a riff, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk to you about it, share it here, and then I'm going to share a document with you in Google. Maybe I should share this with you guys. That might be better, actually. Now, this was an impromptu training literally from this morning. So for now, it's going to be in a Google document, and you'll have an access to this as well. Let me share this with you.
I think you did mention as well that if we batch content create, we upgrade our identity very quickly as well in one of your trainings.
If you batch content?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, do you mean when if it doesn't feel aligned afterward?
Yeah, you mentioned, because you said that you batch content, but then your evolution, and I think also your evolution online was like, you showed us all the different images. You said it went really quickly.
Yeah, that does happen. And actually, like, it's already happened over, at the time of filming this, I have had one of the biggest evolutions, I would say, to date. To date, as far as really seeing the difference in not only my work, but the human work that I do, and truly this visibility shadow, the actual shadows that you have to work through in order to have a brand identity that stands out and continues to scale. And what Maylene was mentioning here on the call, is that here's a lifetime example. Over the weekend, I took 36 hours just completely like into the zone of this new identity and that's coming to fruition. Now, what that looks like for me, it's quieting all the noise, not opening Telegram to consume anything, not scrolling Instagram. I have a backup account that I logged into. So I mean, it's habit. We go on to open up Instagram. I don't even want to scroll or see anything pop on my feed. So just logging out and really sat with what I'm creating, what's not aligned with my brand from before, content, messaging, offers. And then the big ones, relationships with people that I'm connecting with online, how I'm communicating with them from clients to mentorships and spaces. And in that time, like I'm a writer. I have batched some content. I would say about 4 pieces of content that are ready to go. And now I've learned that if I don't post them right away, sometimes it will be 4 in a day. One time I posted like 5 times in a day because it was mid identity shift. This is like a while ago. And I had it batched out. And I'm like, I was repositioning myself, my brand, my identity. So I was like, fuck it. Boom, 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 boom. Is it the best for the algorithm if we're doing that? No, because you want to give each post space to breathe, right? And but I wanted to get it out. And even now I have a couple sitting in Canva. I'm like, they gotta come out today. They gotta come out today because if they don't, I'm not gonna resonate with that anymore, or I'm not gonna care to share that. It's more like they're very identity posts, and there's like what's alive and true in my heart. And it took a moment to get out. So that's what she's talking about. And that in that moment, post it, put it out there. Don't wait. Do not wait because you may not resonate with that anymore. And also, there is a very healing side to content. I've always said this. Content can be is a form of shadow work, right? Because when you're writing it to share it with the world, you're forced to look in like, oh, wait a minute, this feels edgy. Why does it feel edgy? Who am I concerned about seeing this? I have a post coming out where it says one of my last posts took 4 days to post. 4 days. And it took 4 days because I was processing and thinking. I wasn't like sitting in front of Canva, obviously, processing and like the emotions and just feeling and thinking. And right before I wrote it, and this is last week, no, a couple days ago, right before I posted it, it felt edgy to post. And when those things happen, it happens to me still today sometimes. I'm like, ooh, why does that feel edgy? Oh, I'm gonna be I lead with transparency. I'm like, oh, some of my peers, no, yeah, some of my peers are gonna think I'm better than them. Are my mentors gonna think I'm better? I know more? Oh, that's interesting. And it's just something that I don't relate with from speaking on stage this weekend. My experience speaking on stage, a keynote stage for the first time, was so different, vastly different than I've heard anybody else, even any of my mentors speak about it. This huge like visibility shift, this big fucking thing. And afterward, I was like, I mean, yeah, there was a thing. There was nerves. There was nerves. There was just, don't get me wrong, that was there. And then I was racking my brain because I was like, why the fuck didn't I feel this thing that everybody talks about after a first keynote? And the reason is because of my fucking content, because I've been using Instagram as my stage to share the most expressed version of myself. The steak Chanel video. You know what that took? The amount of visibility, shadow work to be the woman to not only do it to film like that in public, to hire somebody and pay 5 figures to go take me to this nice restaurant, film me. I want to eat steak in my hands. I don't care who's looking, people walking by and videoing me. And at that point you have a choice to think, now I think this with content too. Oh, these people are judging me. They're probably gonna send it to their friends and be like, haha, this stupid bitch. Like, look at this girl's there used to be this website called Influencers in the Wild. I don't even know if it still exists, but I had friends, this is before I knew about the coaching industry. I had friends that would be on that website, make fun of influencers, content creators. And now I am that person. So there is a story in my head about like when people are filming, they're poking fun at people. And I have that choice today. Today, I choose to believe that they're watching in admiration. They're watching in like, what is she doing? What line of work is she in? What is she doing? Is she famous? What? Who is she? I want a picture with her. And more often than not, people are more curious. The only person that you think is judging is you. Maybe some. I mean, let's be honest, some people probably are, right? But that's not mine. I actually choose to believe they're watching in admiration. It's the same with all the content. So that was a very side note. I don't know how we got there. How did we get there? Okay, so now tapping into the question that was asked about in relation to brand identity content and offer positioning content. The question was, how often do you post each one? That was the main question. And here's the response. Now, when you're in a launch, I would say you want to go heavy on the hybrid would be ideal because you want to speak to the identity of the type of woman that you're calling in. And also, obviously, the offer, because that's what's going to convert the woman. That's what's going to convert strategically to show her analytical brain. This is the thing that's going to help me solve XYZ problem. That's going to support me to get to XYZ transformation. And when you do these together, it's a very powerful post because it speaks to it uses premium buyer psychology. The brand identity, the brand identity portion of this, it shows them that you're the woman, you're the one to support them to get there. And then when we tie in the offer positioning, oh, she knows how. So now it's tied together. And what I'm going to do today is show you a framework where we're going to dive in. It's going to be a mini training, a very strategic training on this one. And you'll have access to this so that you can see, okay, this is how it can be put together in one post. All right, diving in. Brand identity and offer positioning hybrid content. I broke it up into 3 parts. The top up here, the brand identity hook. So you're going to grab the people, grab your reader through an embodied truth. This is going to speak to the premium buyer, her emotions. You're going to speak to who you are, what you've done, because this is going to attract somebody like, oh, it's that piece of like, she's been there, she is me, she's going to show me how to get there. That's what people speaks to the emotion. It creates trust. Now in this, for the hook prompt here, I want you to look here. This is speaking to that identity, not just the pain point and not just the goals. It can be a mix. So then here will be the top portion. I'm going to go through the whole thing. So first is the brand identity hook. That's the first part. And then the middle portion, this is going to be the story, the lesson, the embodiment. This is where you give them a mini identity shift within that. You want to know, and here's some ideas here where you're going to show them like, I see you, and this is how we're going to get there. You're going to talk to them through story and through your experience. This here is a secret sauce at the very bottom. You start with your truth, your story, and then you tap into her truth. What is she thinking? What is the thoughts going on in her head? What is she feeling? What's that? We hear it all the time, that secret desire that she doesn't want to say out loud. What's her actual pain point that's stopping her from XYZ thing? And in this story, yes, you're going to showcase the win because that's result driven. Your offer is results driven, but you're also speaking into and creating emotional trust. And in the final part, in the very bottom here, it's the most simple tie-in. This is what we do in offer X. Just a grounded clarity. So it's a very simple outline: brand identity, emotion, story, and strategy in the middle. And then we close it out with a strong CTA. And it just that sometimes I see that people get stuck in the identity only content. It's like, no, no, no. What do you do? What's the offer? That's going to convert. Remember from for other training. And then the brand identity content, it's going to call the who, the type of woman that you're calling in. And this is when you build a brand legacy, a brand beyond the skill set. So let's play with a couple of examples here for the hooks part up here. I shared 2 in here, and you'll see clearly, I'm going to share some examples with my own brand, and we'll play with some of yours if you want to put some in the chat box. For example, when you see me X, know that X. Okay, sounds like, okay, yeah, what? But when you look at this with my brand and think about it with you guys, how it makes you feel to hear this, that you, especially you that are in here. The example, When you see me confidently filming in public, slaying photo shoots, just know that I used to give myself a comb over and hide my face in any picture. I never smiled on a camera, and I apologize for being too much. All my pictures look like that. I can't even do it anymore. My hair doesn't go that way anymore. When you see me confidently walking up to the camera, looking straight in the camera and flipping my hair in a photo shoot to talk about my brand, just know that I used to run away from a camera and cry when anybody asked me to take a photo with them. There are almost no pictures of me in my 20s. Immediately, it's like, oh, fuck. So it's like, and here, the intention here is to break up any assumptions. An assumption I get all the time, which is I have to remind myself often of this too, like share my story, share my story, share my story, because there's an assumption like, I mean, you're beautiful. Everybody here watching the call is beautiful. I'm beautiful. I know I'm beautiful. But you look at me and think, oh, it's easy for her to be on camera. She's hot. Of course, it's easy. She's so natural on camera. She's so natural. Bitches, that took work. That took work. And so that would be the assumption that I gotta break in my business. So if for you, what's the assumption that you have to break in business? Meaning, what do people think that comes so naturally and easy for you? That's gonna be the main thing that you coach on. Because what you're coaching on is gonna feel like beginner basic shit. That's embodiment. The things that we're talking about in here, I could talk about it in my sleep. And let me tell you what, it took a minute for me to really understand expression and embodiment. It feels like beginner basic shit because it is to me. It should. That's embodiment. That's embodiment. So the thing that you are so embodied in is going to feel so basic. You might even think, I mean, this is a different topic, but it took me a minute to ground that in. That's embodiment. Okay, get back to the topic. So in here, and this is actually, I used this one yesterday. I use the example of mine. The amount of visibility and I shared a reel of the Chanel video. It's a bit because with what I teach and preach is video content and expression. It's a video of me being really express. I'm eating a steak and like you can see the steak in my hands and in my mouth. The amount of visibility and shadow work it took to become the woman who films confidently in public, knowing it's going to make some cringe, is the reason why seven-figure leaders trust me to unlock their expression. So it's a visual. So for you, think about that. Like like the depth of your work, this is going to bring in depth to your work. The amount of X it took you to become the woman, there's the identity, who X is the exact reason X type of women hire you. Now, in the middle portion, in the middle portion where you're sharing the lesson, the story, this is where you're going to shift. This is where I see a lot of people sometimes get lost and it takes too long. And next thing you know, it's like fucking 2 pages of story. If you answer a few of these questions here, this will help you keep it very within the 200 characters if it's in for the captions. But now we have ChatGPT where you can ask it to make it to pull out the pertinent info, make it still sound like your tone, your voice, keep everything. Just audit it for the character count and ease of flow. That's what I do sometimes. Oftentimes. Okay, so here are the questions to ask for this. And when you're doing this, oh, 1 second. All right, the questions to ask for this. I gave you 3 examples. And have a thought about this. In relation to what you coach on, you can think about an offer, your overall business and brand. What's a moment that you lived that shaped who you are in your brand? And you describe the emotion, tap into the emotional buyer, how you move through it, the analytic, that's going to be your framework and your works. And then what changed after that? emotion, strategic frameworks, and then what changed, transformation. Those three things, boom, it's a beautifully written story through embodiment. Two other questions. What's one thing your audience fears about the topic you coach on that you've personally walked through? What are they worried about? Mine is being judged. One of them. They're worried about being judged for who they are online. And then you get down to even the more specifics, being judged by who? Last question you can reflect on and make content around. When was the last time you felt a discomfort and you chose to stay with it instead of abandoning your truth? So in these, can you see how it's really to answer these, like this last one here? When was the last time you felt discomfort and chose to stay instead of abandon your truth? When you speak to that, you're going to show the woman what it takes to truly embody the transformation that you're talking about. I'm thinking about somebody in this course, Kristen, we're talking on call one about um, not being in like soft girl energy all the time, like the dangers of that can happen if you don't tap into the strategy as well. Like it's hard fucking work to create this. This is my belief here. It takes a lot of hard fucking work to get to soft girl life in business. It takes grit. You want to sit back and sip pina coladas and just like live the soft girl life? It takes work to get there. I believe that as well. So if you were to do this, when was the last time you felt that discomfort? You get to talk about how you led yourself. Fucking work. It takes hard work. I did this. I did that. I was up till 3 a.m. so many nights and skipping out on dinners and trips. Do you want to say that? Probably not, because everybody's out on the internet saying, live your life and do this and do that. Well, they probably already had the time where they had to say no to a lot of things and built that business. I know I did. Said no to a lot. Now it looks a lot different. But even now, I mean, I've really overcommitted this year. So I'm going back on my some decisions and trips that I have bought tickets to and whatnot. But for you, you get to show your leadership. And then we tie it together in the offer. So these are some ways where you can tap into both. Actually, let me not breeze over that. At the very bottom, you make it really clear that you're not just here talking about personal power, because that's beautiful. You do want the identity post, something like that, but make sure that it doesn't, you don't get stuck in that, because then you're just showing power, showing leadership, aspiring, inspiring, which is great. However, when you tie it with your offer, you have double the bang, because now it's like, fuck yeah, this is what the work that I do, that we do together, and what I'm going to support you to do, because ultimately you're providing results, whatever that looks like, whether it's creative results, money results, time freedom results. Like, what are the results? That's what you're actually selling as well, on top of identity. Oh, I wrote it here. Invite her by making it clear it's not just your power, turn it back to them. It's something you're guiding her into. So let me see, what else on here? On these notes here for the story part, this is we could do a whole training on storytelling content, but these are some super easy ways to look at, like when you're writing your story here. Look at these notes, make sure it mirrors the buyer's inner world and the emotion that you're tapping into. Make sure you tap into what are they feeling? What are they actually thinking? What this does is it normalizes what your premium buyers feel inside, but they maybe haven't articulated it out loud or even want to admit to their own self that they think and believe. So to break this down, you start with the identity hook. Here are two examples. You tap into the story, the identity shift, and you position your frameworks in there as to this is how you did that. And then you tie, this is great for me, and I'm going to guide you to do the same. Here's the offer. This is what we're doing in X offer. Let me open the chat box. 1 second. Let's see, was this now? Mhm. Oh, that's the next question. Okay. Okay, so this was in relation to a question on Telegram. If you have a question in here, feel free to drop it in the chat box and we will revisit that. Maylene, do you want to come up for this question or do you want me to just read it here?
I will ask. So in the online space, there's a lot of people in the online space, and everybody's really trying to stand out with their brand. And every like 6 months, there's a specific theme people go for, like the luxury look, or the. I'm sure you've started seeing people who follow you use similar content to you. Um, so to stand out, we feel like we need to be louder, and you're saying we need to be more embodied in who we are. But sometimes it feels like that's not enough. So when you show up dressed up, because you constantly thinking, I don't know if like you're constantly like, should I wear this? Should I wear this? Does it match my brand color? Should I wear red because red stands out? How much louder can I be? And so you become louder. Um, yeah. Because I realized this week after watching all the training you did, I realized like my nickname used to be like sunshine, and people used to admire my energy and discipline. And then you get online and you're like, but everyone's better. So how much louder can you be? Because, it's different. It's different when you walk into a room. You can own that.
Yes.
I don't know how to do that online.
So the biggest block, this isn't going to be what anybody here, I think that the general response we want is post this, post that. This is what to do, what to say. And that's not the response I have yet. I'm going to give some thoughts. The biggest block I hear in what you said that could is, and in many people, it's not just you, and I see in everybody, plenty of people, is the consuming. Is when you said, then I get on and did you say it's not enough? You said something like, then online it's not enough. You feel like I gotta be louder because, or even the fact of knowing that every 6 months there's a general look going around or a general theme. How do you know that? You must be consuming a lot. How do you know that, right? How do you know all that? Or if you catch yourself thinking, I need to stand out, I need to be louder because there's so much out there. I don't think that. And I notice because it's because I don't scroll a lot. And also, I notice when I do start to feel that the internet's loud, it's when I start scrolling. Now, it's a very internal awareness thing because back since a long time, I had in 2023, I did a program called Savage and Sexy September 2023. And it was all about boundaries on social media, unfollowing people. I had everybody unfollow people on that in that program. And it was in the theme of tapping into stop consuming. Because no matter what, I don't care if it's like you open up and it's the 3 seconds that somebody's thing pops up on your feed. You have a perception of somebody, they make you think, like, not in a bad way, they just make you think about something. Like when if you open it, you see my picture real quick, your brain's gonna go to something, whatever it is. Maybe it's a reel that you want to do. Maybe it's, oh, I'm gonna be edgy today. Maybe it's, oh God, I gotta post that content. Oh, maybe it's, oh, my iconic edge. There's something that's gonna pop in your head that wasn't what you initially were in. Already shifting how you're going to create, already shifting how you're going to show up. The biggest, I mean, and this is not, I do have like some takeaways and some prompts and some strategic things as well. But the biggest takeaway here is be mindful of your scrolling habits. I say this all the time. If you're struggling with that, what I've suggested to clients to do before is put an alarm on your phone and at a certain time, log into a different account that you have. Like if you have a backup account or a personal account, log into that. That way, when you naturally go on Instagram, because we all do it, oh fuck, you're like, I've done it before. Oh, there's like 2 people that I follow, and the other page is a bullshit page. So I catch myself really quick, and I still do it a lot. This weekend, I logged out. So yeah. And if you're following a lot of coaches that coach on what you coach on, stop. There's no need for you to be following 10 million Me, for myself. There's no need for me to be following a million brand coaches. Yeah, to see what's out there when I'm consciously deciding to go, I'm saying snoop in a playful way, to go snoop by way of, oh, what are people doing in a good way, not in a comparison way, not in a vulnerable way. Because think a lot of times when we're scrolling Instagram, you're in a very vulnerable state. Think about it. You're tired, you're winding down and scrolling. That's vulnerable. You're fresh in the morning, like your fresh thoughts, you're vulnerable. You're not feeling the best. You're trying to low key escape from whatever things like procrastinating, you're scrolling. That's vulnerable. There's a different energy when you consciously go on. Like I'm always very conscious about when I scroll. It's always for something. But at this point, where I'm at today, right now, and I don't know if I share this on this call yet, this is what I do. I've been told that may not be the best for the algorithm or putting my shit in front of people. I've been told, but so take that with what you want. When I if you go to your explore page right now, open Instagram. As I'm saying, don't distract, right? Go to Instagram and go to your explore page. What do you see there? If you see a lot of coachy kind of content, if it's like, if you see whatever, if you see a lot of things that you coach on or things that are in your industry, that might mean that you're scrolling too much in your industry, in what that is. You don't need to be outside influence from that's going to influence your work. When I look at mine, here's what mine looks like. Can you see that? I have a light on there. You can't really see. It's models and photo shoots and probably funny stuff. No,
Yeah.
it's all model, literally, it's all model shit. And that inspires my creativity. I also have certain photographers favorited because when you favorite accounts, it pops up certain people. That's how I keep my creative flow. Okay, that was such a random side riff, but it's so important for your own expression not to let that stop you and block you because it subconsciously will. And furthermore, this is a very nuanced thing I'm about to say, and I've never heard anybody speak to this. Um, your expression needs to be expanded as well. Meaning, if you're the boldest bitch in your mastermind, in every mastermind, every group space that you're in, you're the boldest, most expressed, it's low key blocking you. You need to be around, I'm going to say like me, of course. You need to be around a woman like me that naturally activates a playful, because that's how I am, that naturally is bold and edgy and and all these expressions because it's going to normalize that for you, for your brain to see. And I say this because that's been me. I've been in, I can see it so clearly now after this last shift. But I've been in space. I'm usually always Usually, usually the one of the most expressive, not the most expressed, or the only one that has this bold energy. And there was a time when I found myself, I couldn't understand why all of a sudden, this is when I started getting in business coaching world. Why all of a sudden am I feeling like it's too much, that edgy is too much again? My playful is too much again. I worked through that already when I was feminine embodiment coaching. I worked through that bullshit already. But I got into a world where just a different lux was the norm, and I missed it because of I missed it, but thank God I'm an embodied woman where I caught it. It took a couple months. I'm like, oh, because I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing success, money. I'm going to call it what it is, a woman making a lot of money with an edge, or that was saying fuck a lot at the time. I have a sailor mom. I mean, not that much anymore, but I do cuss. And there was a moment when I remember asking a mentor, like, can you cuss too much in a thing? Because the coach didn't curse really. And then I ended up working with this person privately. And as I started working with her privately more, I started noticing she was cussing on our call, not like in a bad way, but like, oh, fucking, like just things would pop out. I'm like, oh, I never hear her cuss anywhere else. I brought that out in her. And the first time I heard her talk about something about sex, and she never ever made a sex joke anywhere in the world that I had ever seen her, I was like, it hit me. I bring that out in her. I create that safety. And that's when that seed was starting to be planted like, fuck, I need to be, personally, I need to be in a space where Mentors are also this, like whatever this is, and it's normal. You need that in some capacity, whether it's in your friend circle, in a group container, in a mastermind, in a mentor, whatever that is, you need that. I'm thankful I have a lot of friends like that, coaches that are friends like that as well. But you just gotta start to normalize that and normalize, and it doesn't mean you have to work with them. Normalize seeing that on your account as well. Make sure you're following people that are like that.
Okay.
Okay.
How did you how do you work from the disconnect between where you are now to the identity you want to be and selling to other people? So for me personally, I've worked with 6, 7 figure coaches, but always behind the scenes. So even in your Telegram group, I fall into this habit of wanting to get everyone engaged all the time. As a community manager, that's your job. You're like, how are you today? I didn't see you post today. How was your content today? So, and I'm used to speaking like other coaches, so I'm learning to use my own voice. So I've left that completely. Don't take on any of those clients anymore.
Okay.
And I'm really stepping into me being a coach now from like my previous experience. So even though I've worked for those 6, 7 figure coaches, I was managing their back ends and their communities. But how do I make my identity from the girl being behind the scenes to me being, hi, I'm Maylene?
Now, do you mean forward facing in your content? Because, or in yourself? Because it's going to start in both. It's going to be in both. But I want to understand your question first. Is it both?
Um, yeah, I think it's both because even when I hop onto a call with you now, I'm too shy to speak because I'm like, you're the coach, let me listen. What do you want to tell me to do? And it's different now, if that makes sense. Because most of the time coaches are like, how do I make my community better? And I'm like, this is what you do. So I'm always quiet until I'm asked.
I see. Okay. So there's some rewiring that needs to be done. Rewiring in the sense of, and this goes for anybody who is shifting. What's happening is Maylene is completely shifting into an entire identity role in her business and in herself. She's used to being behind the scenes. So you need to actively show yourself. If you're a list writer, write it down, get it out of your body. Like you have to actually see what's shifting. Okay, I'm not behind the scenes anymore. I'm not doing this, and that, right? Like you can help, Maylene, you can support someone like me, let's say with um, community management and this, and that, but you are an expert in something that you can support me as well. You need to start looking at yourself to really dial in on your zone of genius. For what would I hire you for? Why would these other 7 figure leader hire you for? And really embodying that, knowing that, you know what, I would hire them for that. They will hire me for this. We are equals. This is a self identity and self leadership thing to see yourself as an equal, and that only comes from being so clear, solid, and sold on what the fuck your zone of genius is, and knowing that you can get dreamy transformations in that. That's where it starts. It has to start there. Because if you don't see yourself as that one, nobody else will. Nobody else will see you further along than you actually are, even in identity. So what I would say is really dial in on what are your strengths? What's the zone of genius? And play a game with yourself. I've done this. I've done this exact practice. Why would a group of very specific people, there was like 4 or 5 mentors that I hired, I played that game with myself. Why would they hire me? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And you start looking at the thing, and then you start seeing them as more human. And I wouldn't be the leader that I am with you in here. I'm watching this call if I didn't share that. The truth is, a big part of this for me, a huge part of this for me as well, was in-person events where I really, really humanized so many people that I was paying, that I was working with peers, because you get to see them in their natural habit. And it's not that they're being fake. It's not that I'm being fake either. I don't think anybody's being fake on the internet. I mean, there is some probably trying to act a certain, not authentic, I'm sure. I choose to believe everybody's being authentic. See, it's a mindset that I have. I love the industry. But when I got to see some people in real walking life, and I've shared this story before, but not on this call, at, I mean, I'll just say it, at Freedom Queen Live last year, I knew a lot of the people, all the speakers. I'm very in that community. And you see people one way online. And again, nobody's being fake. Let me just be very clear about that. But when I met some of them in person, I was blown away by how many times I was like, inside, be really honest. I was like, where is this person that I see online? And not in a negative way, because I understand femininity, embodiment, and conviction. I understand that, oh, because it's there. I don't want to attach it to 2020 when everybody was at home, but I do have this belief. Or like it's easier to be this way, to be like, oh, motherfucker, why was I gonna cuss? To be like, I don't know, just like this in a camera when there's nobody, like you're in the comfort of your own home, versus somebody that doesn't have the either life experience or the human skills or communication skills or human conviction, not brought by money wins in business. Let me get that clear, because I've seen very much, and these are some of the women that specific people, no shit talking at all. I see it, I can understand it, that have potentially created conviction and confidence because they grew a really big business that was based out of home. So when they're in the home, the comfort of their own home, they have conviction that my shit's good, my shit works. The money shows that there's conviction. I have a big following, I have this, I have that. But you put them in a room with other powerful, potent women in person, where we can see you, we can feel you, feel your energy. You're not in the safety of your own home. There's a different energy. Is that making sense?
That definitely makes sense. Because a lot of people are like, May, your videos are amazing, do more. And I'm like, but I don't have my makeup on, I haven't prepared for myself. And they think it's all natural. I'm like, no, I prepare. So that definitely makes sense. But
Yeah.
I'm definitely different in person than I am online. Like
We
I'm a
all
lot more fun in person.
we all are, because also you're more fun when you are in your just doing nothing. I'm more fun when I have no camera and I'm dancing around my kitchen cooking. Right? So what's the, let's say, the answer there? The answer there to how do you bring more fun into your content, into your brand? I would say to create an environment where you feel comfortable in. For example, I think I talked a little bit about this on call one, like somewhere in your house where you're comfortable sitting, sit on a couch, lean back, like you can sit like this and talk like your leg up, and have the video here where you're like, oh, da, 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 and it feels like you're talking to people. Create that kind of environment.
Other than embodiments for you and your clients, what is the other thing you think has made people talk about quantum leaps, but nobody explains a quantum leap until they've done it.
Mm.
So like if you made $1 million today, you'd be like, I quantum leaped $1 million in a month, and we'd all believe you because people say that. And so there's this distrust in the industry, right? Because I work behind the scenes I work in a lot of memberships and I see a lot of the behind the scenes. And a lot of people aren't doing what they say or making what they make. And as a team member, you get kind of
Mm.
not very happy with some people.
Mm.
So,
You
what
know,
is your advice to people succeeding in the online space? Um, yeah, if someone was just starting.
if someone was just starting, what would be my advice to succeed?
Yes. So, yeah, I've been in the industry for 5 years and I've been happy. I've been disappointed. As you said, you get like amazing coaches and then you hire coaches and you're like, not really what I expected. And I realized I'm with a coach and I was speaking to another friend. Actually, she was speaking to me about you. She's like, do you know Irene? I'm like, yes, I'm doing her program. And she's like, why don't you tell me? I'm like, well, I thought you saw of my stories. And she's like, I want to hire Irene because she's so gorgeous. And I just want to teach me how to be so sexy and take photos. Um, and we were speaking about other spots we're in because there's memberships blew up last year. So we're in all of them. And you get into a membership and like you said, you don't you answer on people who make you grow. So we've become friends with the coaches, with the people. And so there isn't this growth there.
There is in business growth, so it's coming out like friends, not business growth.
Yes. Because I find that we've created memberships to make friends
Mm.
rather than because in your own personal life, your family doesn't support you, your own friends don't support you. So we've become friends online. And I have like a lot of friends. I like, yeah, people always like, May, we always know you because you're everywhere. But I'm like, but nobody's buying. And they're like, because you're so friendly.
Well, there's so many nuances to this. There's so many nuances because I gotta ask, like, there's a couple things. Let me write down notes and I don't forget. Awareness.
Yeah, sorry, I think that was a bit of a disjointed. So first I said you're gorgeous and amazing, and people who saw me share you on stories was like, Irene's amazing. Um, and yes, I know I need to get into rooms that expand me when I start getting clients. I just need to get out of that mindset of I'm here to help and be a cheerleader.
Yes. Okay. One, this is a very customized to Maylene response. One, get really clear, Maylene, on your offers, your coaching. There might be some rewriting you have to do there. You're not no longer marketing yourself to me for a membership. Now get really clear on your ideal client and the offer. Is it private coaching? Is it a course? Is it like get really clear? Pick one for now because it sounds like you're starting over. Get really clear. That way you know how to properly market yourself. You know what questions to ask versus being waited to ask questions because you're used to doing that. You're used to the other way around. So when you know
Yeah,
the offer,
so yeah, I am because most of my clients were always referrals. So
so there's that first piece there with that, knowing what questions and having absolute fucking clarity in the offer, right? And then aware, okay, I'm gonna take it to the other to my notes here. Awareness in hiring. If you find yourself being in a lot of spaces where we become friends, there's a couple parts to this. One, you get to reset the standard for your intention for in the space. I've been in spaces where I've been paying and I just don't go anymore because I just didn't do enough. Now that's a self thing. I didn't do enough research and ask the right questions. It wasn't the coach's fault. I didn't ask the right questions. It was not what I expected. It's not what I needed, not what I wanted. I bought from an emotional activated state. I didn't look into it. I wanted private mentor. There was a whole bunch of things. I was like, fuck, it was me. It was me. And even though I was paying a fuck ton of money for a couple of spaces, I got out because it wasn't serving me. So there's like this awareness piece in hiring and, not letting the old story of memberships last year follow into what you're doing now. Maybe back then you did need a support system, a team. I had a point where I needed that. But also when you said, yeah, but they're not hiring, excuse me, but they're not buying. And people say, Maylene, because you're so friendly, in that piece, you have to ask yourself, am I actually selling my offer? So if they're not buying, it doesn't come back to the memberships are too friendly, the memberships are not, supportive, they're not growth. It comes down to you're not actually selling. Because if you were not being a friendly cheerleader, if you were, you can be friendly, you can be a cheerleader and also an authority that is saying, this is what I do, this is how I support you, these are the results that you get when you work with me, and I love you so much. You can be a friend. You're like, what? You can be both. You can be both. You don't have to be an ice queen all the time to be an authority. So, and you need to come back and it's a self thing. Come back to, okay, I'm not fucking selling my offers. I'm not clear about my offers. I haven't sold in how many days physically made the offer. No shit, nobody's gonna come in. If you don't have the system set up in place and automations and all things, no shit, they're not gonna come in. So, Maylene, it sounds like there's a lot of rewiring to do. Like, give yourself, like, scratch all that, get clear on the offer, dial in on the messaging, who you're talking to, and start really positioning yourself as the authority you are, because you are an authority in something. You are a fucking genius at something. And when you can decide, okay, these are the things I'm gonna be known for, this is it, that's when you go ham on it. show off your skill set when it comes to, like, some people say, no education content because I'm gonna be teaching mode. But when you're speaking to something new, you want to teach. This is why you need this. At my
Okay.
level, somebody teach me about funnels, please. Teach me. Where's the teacher of funnels? Yeah. Give me your hacks and tricks for funnels. They say like no hacks, no tricks. I want the hacks and tricks for funnels. I don't need it for content. I don't need it for the other things, but for funnels, right? So I hope that was really helpful. This is an identity piece and it's a you thing first. Get out of
Yeah.
those
Thank
spaces.
you.
Yeah, get out of those spaces. You need a handful of friends, and you can even, I have so many friends that are coaches and we have such good boundaries, such good boundaries. We know, like, and it doesn't even need to be a conversation anymore because I know that I'm not going to waste time and be in there at 2 p.m. I have my friend chats on WhatsApp. There's no friend conversations in my Telegram. It's all business. I know when to open it, when not to open it. There's no friend conversations also for me in Instagram. No friend conversations. I don't need to be scrolling my one of my best coach friends who also teaches content messaging. I don't need to be looking at her shit. She's muted. My best friends are muted. I don't need to be looking at their content and then talking to them in WhatsApp. Like, no. So you can have friends in the industry and still expand to and be friendly. Yeah. And the biggest thing I want to say for everybody on here, and especially for you that asked the question, discernment in who and why you're hiring. And you get to reset spaces. Speaking directly to you, Maylene in here that asked this question, you get to reset friendships too and spaces. And sometimes you do, some people would say, Don't explain yourself, you just show up differently." Sometimes you do want to explain because you care. You don't want, it's not a bad thing to explain something from a lens of care and not people pleasing. Like just this morning, I haven't had time to because I've been really busy the last couple of days. But in one of my masterminds that I'm in, I love the mastermind space. I love it so much. I've just been so busy and in my no consuming mode that haven't been in there. But I went from one day, like in there once or twice a day, responding to everybody talking to boom, she's gone. And just this morning in my spin class, but I got busy. I was gonna go in and be like, you guys, I fucking miss you. I'm thinking about you. I'm here. I'm just silent because I'm XYZ, but I miss you guys. That's all I was gonna do. But that's me. And not because I care what they think, because I would have been there, but I just can't right now. So some would see this as explaining. I don't see it that way, in a negative way. And for you, if you want to reset a container, whether it's a client container or a friend container, you get to do the same thing too. You get to say, like, it could sound something like, let me see. I haven't had to do this on a friend space, but it could sound something like, "Hey, so and so." And if you're not used to having these kind of conversations, or the person's not used to having the conversations with you, you get to step into that leadership role and realize that you're salvaging that relationship and friendship. And if you care about that, you need to know that these relationships feel supportive of your business expansion too. Like, hey, I want to chat about something that could be kind of weird, but I think it's going to benefit both of us because we both have businesses. I feel like we've gotten into this. I've gotten into a very lackadaisical, I don't know, kind of wasting time and just bugging, like chatting about nothing, when like I know that we can be both supportive friends and supportive in our businesses too, not coaching each other, but just supportive in business too. So I just want to like reset our friendship, reset our text conversation, right? To where like you just like reset that so you guys know, like, okay, maybe you have been dicking around talking about nothing all day throughout the day. I don't know what that looks like, but like you get to reset that.
Yeah, no, I have very strict boundaries with friendships and business. I think in business and memberships, it's different because you don't want to offend anyone. And also, for 5 years, all I did was keep people engaged 24/7. And I need to step away from that and go, it's not my job
Yeah.
to make everyone feel safe and seen and happy and talkative. So yeah, thank you for everything.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right, so this wraps us up with this here. And if anybody does want to upgrade, so here's what happened with the upgrades. I have 4 of you guys in here that did upgrade. We had, excuse me on the hiccups. We originally had a 2-week mini mind. And what I decided to do is give everybody have 2 weeks with private at the mini mind price, like full transparency. I lead with transparency. I decided to do that because just with the way schedules were happening and in a massive shift that I had, the women that bought into the mini mind, I knew. Now, some people would say no, it's a bit an executive decision I made. I want to be one-on-one with them for the 2 weeks. I knew that there was so much, it was mutually beneficial, but I knew that it would serve my business as well. So there's only 2 more spots because it is one-on-one. 2 more spots if you do want to upgrade to the one-on-one. Gosh, what was the price? I think it was, what was it? It's like $600 more. I think it was like a total of $797. So I think the upgrade is like 600 something. I'll have to look at the link again. I'll drop it in there. There's 2 more spots if you do want to do that. I've never done 2 weeks private like that at that price. That's the only time you will be able to do that. If you guys do want that, shoot me a message on Instagram and I can send you over that link. And of course, long-term work, I have Iconic Queen Mastermind. It's a year-long space. And this is where we take everything we did here and we blow it up over the course of the year. Because as you know, expression and brand identity is a long-term game. Like it takes a moment for a mentor to truly be able to see you when you let your guard down, to see you, to feel you, the way you talk and interact on calls, the way you ask questions, planning photo shoots and tapping into the identity and marketing and brand and the offer positioning, brand identity content, photo shoots, all of this are things that we do in Iconic Queen Mastermind. In the first 3 months, we'll be focusing on repositioning or positioning wherever you're at right now as far as what's needed in your brand, your signature core offer, as well as your brand identity. So the 2 things that we talked about, offer positioning and brand identity. Any questions, you guys, please come over to Instagram. And I will see you the rest in Telegram. Today was so amazing. Really good questions. You're welcome. You're welcome. And I will see you guys in Telegram. Bye.